What's up, everyone? We have a Honda HRX217 on the table today that's been very loved, and it is having quite a bit of issues. However, the main issue is, I would say, there appears to be some cracking on the deck. That is just one of them. There's also some pretty heavy wear in the wheels, so they just kind of are angled in. That's not to mention the actual wheels themselves have seen better days, especially the drive wheels. The reason why, though, this is actually on the table is a pull cord is not retracting. So I don't know what's going on, haven't looked at it yet, so I figured we will get to start. I'm going to take off the 310 millimeters, remove it, and see what happens. I'm going to show you after I remove them, because a lot of times it will just retract and we can figure it out. If it doesn't, it could be the coil, but we don't know yet. Let's figure this out. Headphone wearing users beware. I'm going to be using an impact for the last one. So they're all off. Let's see if it retracts. Very slowly. But it is retracting. So this could just be really nasty, which just the longer it kind of pulls itself in. Well, actually, that doesn't look right. Now does it? That's not supposed to happen. That's supposed to be, this little tab on the top is supposed to be in there. So we probably have some funkery going on in there. Disconnect the spark plug. Let's see if the engine spins. Yeah, the engine spins. It's not frozen or hydro locked or anything. Okay, good. Starting to wonder there. I thought I wasn't feeling any compression. Okay, so let's work on the recoil. So I'm going to loosen this center, and it kind of looks like someone's been in there already. It's like kind of, I don't know if it's gooey or just marred up. Take a look. Well, hold on there. Over 90% of you, according to YouTube, are not currently subscribed. You're watching this video, but you're currently not subscribed. So I'm going to welcome you to subscribe at the end if this helped you out. I work on a lot of machines, so maybe the machine you're watching is going to be something you own, but who knows? Maybe you own a generator, a pressure washer, a big mower, a chainsaw, a variety of things. The only way to know if I'm going to fix it in the future is by subscribing, and maybe I get to the one that you own and can help you out then too. So I welcome you to subscribe, put a thumbs up if it does help you out. Back to your normal video. I have a T25 in here. Now this is reversed, so tightening is actually loosening. It feels really weird the first time you do this, because especially that, it didn't really want to come out. I mean, it's just drilling into plastic. So you think you're like breaking it, but you're really not. But yeah. It definitely, it's not a pleasant feeling the first time. Okay, so I shoved everything back in where it should be. Now let's tighten it. So now everything engages. It appears like it wants to fully retract. It's still a little gooey though. I think in here there's a hole with a spring in it. I might put a little oil in there. In addition, I'm going to put a little oil on top and then pull it on a few times. The oil I use is super complicated and hard to find, of course. Just joking, it's marble. So I have a little bit there, and for the next minute or so, I'm just going to kind of do that. Kind of get it worked into its little crevices that it needs to get worked into. So I will do that, and we'll see if I'm going to put it back on too. Oh, what is this? Oh no, it's supposed to be like that. Okay. This cup is a little different than I was expecting to see. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and put it on there as well. And then we will see if it retracts. Well, if I pull on it, it will retract. Let's put it that way. Something to note when you are doing the, when you're screwing it back in, that screw is just going to plastic. So you don't really want to hammer it home. And these posts that I'm putting these back on don't actually attach to the fuel tank, which this is, or the cover. It is a long post that gets screwed into the top of the motor, and what will end up happening is you have them so tight that when you undo these the next time, instead of just removing the nut, it removes the post on the bottom of it, and you end up having to remove basically the fuel tank. It's just a giant mess, so don't over tighten these. They need to be tight. They don't need to be over tight because of that reason, and the fact that you could just break the whole thing to begin with. It's on. Let's see if it will do anything. Now the plug is removed, so it shouldn't be starting. Perfect. Retracts, no problem. I looked at the string. It doesn't be torn or anything like that, so recoil should be pretty much good to go. We're going to look at the wheels and see if that's something that's repairable or not. This is the problem. Wasn't that easy to tell when it's on the actual table, but when you push it, this wheel goes like this. This one actually is really good, but this one is kind of ridiculous. I mean, look at that. That is just rough. So I have it on a little block. I'm gonna go ahead and we'll take off the wheel and see if it's just the plate or the bracket, or if it's where the bracket screws into. Maybe that's all egged out. Don't know. Let's see. Okay, warning again. Oof. I thought that this was welded on, but apparently either the welds broke or it was broken to begin with, because that is spinning, so that's no fun. I'm pretty sure those are square. They're not like a normal socket. Try to see if I could grab it with some of these fuel line pliers, and or at least jam it enough to. Maybe this is part of our problem. Well, it's a legit nut. I'm gonna go grab a socket. Yeah, that was not normal. That is just a nut that was shoved on there. So the what? Look at that. Don't know if you can tell, but even that's like bent. The threaded area, not the actual shaft. So, that's not good. It's really hard to bend that without damaging the threads. I mean, it's not impossible to rebend it, but obviously, but it's not the easiest thing in the world. Oh, and that sucked even for me. I'm gonna take that off so you don't have to deal with that noise. I had to lift it up higher. There's a nut behind here that's holding it on. Bushing. That's not looking too good. That should be pretty tight in there, but it's not. So that's not good. That's not necessarily all of our problem. It's part of our problem. Here's this nut that came off of the bracket. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was supposed to be welded on there. So it came off, and maybe that's why this is bent so bad. Don't know. So what do? I'm going to put my thinking cap on and see how I'm going to try to bend that without damaging all of those threads. I'm thinking about getting it really, really hot and then putting the nut back on there like so until I get to about the point of the bend, and then putting the nut into my vise and kind of giving a few love pushes, let's say that, and see if that works. So I'm gonna get some MAP gas. I don't really want to use acetylene for this because that, I think, might be, one, it's a giant pain to have to get all that set up out, and two, there is no two. That's why I'm going to be using MAP gas, and that's not that thick. This is thick, but that's not that thick. So I'm pretty hopeful, at least, MAP gas should be enough to get this hot. It's not perfect, but it's a whole lot better. That's exactly what I did. MAP gas was enough. Took about 45 seconds or so before it got red hot, the whole thing. Put the nut on there until the base of the nut was about where it started to get a little janky, and then put it in my vise. Gave it a good hammering, 2 or 3 good knocks. Put it there almost exactly where I needed it. Actually, it's a little too much, so I had to do it again and kind of fix it. But you know, it's not horrible. It's definitely better. I might try it one more time because there is still a slight bend in there. But at the same time, I might also look and see if I just have another one. This isn't that expensive of a part, and we might just be trying to fix a cheap issue with good intentions. While all that cools off, let's take a look at this. Let's remember it went on like so, and then obviously the bolt. But is this bent? Yeah, it is a little bent too. Don't know if you can tell, but right here is bent more towards you, or this direction, where the camera is compared to me. It's not really straight. So I'm going to, excuse me, take like, I don't know. I have a sledge. I'm going to take the sledge, put it on the concrete, and with a different hammer, I'm going to hit right about here, put the sledge in here. I don't want to damage this, and the sledge might be just small enough to fit in here and kind of give me like a stable base. I can't just like put it on a table and start hitting, because then it would just start to all bow. But if I have it on there flat and try to flatten this, that usually works out a lot better. And this is pretty thick, so heating it is also not a horrible idea. A lot of times you can just hit this cold as long as you have that sledge or pretty much anything hard that will fit in here that won't bend these flat as well. But I'm going to go ahead and get that started. Worked pretty well. Got it nice and straight. I also started to clean the surface a little bit, like a wire wheel on a drill. You could kind of see the marks where the previous nut was like spot welded on there. So I think I might do something very, very similar to that. Just get it nice and lined up, cleaned up, and then give it a quick little weld on there. Because not doing that, it's really hard. It's really hard to, you have to really thin wrench in order to get through. So I'm going to go ahead, get this cleaned up, get everything else cleaned up. I lined up the nut real quick, and it should be in the same place where the other one was. So that's good. Now I'm going to be TIG welding this for a couple very important reasons. One, this is a smaller part, and I don't really feel like having sparks everywhere in my garage right now because, well, gas. 2, I enjoy TIG welding, and arguably probably the more important reason why is I don't have C25 for my MIG welder. It's out, and it's the weekend, and I can't get more until Monday. So we are kind of married to this process right now if we want to do any welding. One of these parts don't like to be welded. I think it's the nut. I'm going to take a clamp because I don't like the fact that it could have the metal contracting, could have pulled it down. So I'm going to take a clamp and then do that. Yeah, it was a nut. It's probably coated in zinc or whatever you're not supposed to weld over, but it's 4 little tacks. I mean, come on, it's not gonna be too much of a problem, right? Anyway, it's done. So I think we are going to put everything back together. Everything is really hot right now. I'm gonna let it sit for like 15-20 minutes in the cold section of the garage, which is pretty much everywhere except for here. And yeah, we'll see if it made any difference. After just putting it on, it looks a lot better already. So I'm pretty sure it's not going to be the end all. Ooh, it's still a little warm, but we can at least try it, you know? Now that this is on there, oh, was a lot easier. And we are looking not 100%. I think I do kind of want to bend it out a little bit more, and once we do that, I think it should be set. So I'm going to bend the plate a little bit more. I wasn't sure if I bent it enough. It looks like I didn't, or it could be the fact that maybe now the wheel kind of goes straight. But yeah, I'm going to bend it one more time. That's pretty easy. I'm not going to show that, so we'll consider this part pretty much done. And actually, after putting the weight on it, because I want to see, because you don't always can tell when it's just hanging there, actually looks pretty decent. So I'm going to leave it the way it is, and when I push it, if it's any different, I'll make my necessary adjustments. But it's just going to be more or less exactly what I was doing, bending the bolt, the threads again, or the little bracket. Either one. To save time, it would be easier to just, you know, replace it. So this is either going to be a very good idea to save money, or a real bad idea to save time or waste time. Yeah, it's up to you. Anyway, back to this. So, okay, maybe the bolt is not in. Nope. It completely broke that little shield, so we're going to take this off. I think there's one more somewhere here. Yeah, it's on the bottom. It's right here. So I'm going to take this off, and we'll see if I have another shield. If not, then we'll do the same thing, just weld it back together. I know I said this a few times, but having the ability to weld is very important, because we might not be able to save this part. I mean, we can. Just depends on how much work you want to put into it. I mean, that is... But the ability to weld is really something that can make you stand out. And a lot of people don't want that too. They just want everything new, and that's fine. But the people who just want it working and reliably, you know, as long as you take your time and do a good job, your weld should work. Oh, there's one more up top. if you work on small engines, definitely consider taking up welding. It's cracked too, so probably not the better solution is to take a washer. Also, you need to make sure when you buy it you don't have that coating on there, or if you do, just take it off, take like a flap disc and just remove the top layer. But yeah, it's gonna be a little difficult. So what I might do is this. I might just see, oh, there's even a piece missing. Oh, this is real flimsy stuff too. It's gonna be hard to weld. It's gonna be just blowing through. It's really thin. And this one's about to break, if it's not already broken. This one is about to break. They're all about to break. This one we just need a new cover for, so we're not going to weld that. We'll just have to replace that one. I mean, technically it doesn't need it. It's just a shield to make sure that nothing hot touch or anything that touches the muffler isn't going to get insanely burned. This is still hot, don't get me wrong, but the muffler behind it's hotter. So it is important to find and replace or repair. Let me see if I can find a replacement. And what do you know it? I do have one. I have a lot of black, except they're all the horizontal shaft versions and not the vertical shaft. The only vertical shaft version I have is gray, which is the same, obviously, but it doesn't, I mean, I don't think it looks bad. Could just put some high temp paint on it, clean it up, paint it. Yeah, maybe I'll do that. Quick and easy. I also need to do a oil change and all that stuff, so I'm gonna get that painted and then we'll give this a pull and see what happens. And it's done. Got the cover on for the muffler. Wheel, yeah, but 95% better. Full tune-up, whole 9 yards, the air filter, all that. So let's give it a pull. See if it turns on. That should be just fine. So, other than that, you know, we potentially could have a problem with the transmission, but he said that he did use this for a long time. Excuse me. So, I'm not going to worry too much about it. There is quite a bit of oil coming from the valve cover from the looks of it. I told him about it. He said he's not going to be that worried about it because brings me to the main point of why we did all the welding and not just replacing and not just waiting for parts. He needs this tomorrow. Parts, he gave it to me 2 hours ago, maybe 3 hours ago now, and he basically said, just do what you can, I need it for tomorrow. One of my guys need it. I'm not going to go over the story, but he needs it fast, so that's why we did what we did. The painting, the welding, all that stuff. The tune-up, I already have all those parts. That's not a problem. I don't have shields. I don't have bushings, which is the reason why I just reused the old one. Technically, you could just drill it out if it's oblonged in the deck and put a bigger one in. That's all you would have to do. You would have to find that one. My hardware store carries them. Go to your local hardware store, places that would have, you know, individual buy like a singular bolt or nut or, you know, those little weird items. You'd have to buy like a whole package. It's not like you're going to Home Depot. Little tiny mom pop hardware stores usually have a lot of that stuff. Now, other than that, we should be ready to go. So this is an odd problem, but if you are on a cheap and you have a welder and some basic ability to do some tiny little welds, this is well within anyone's ability. Cheap little Harbor Freight welder, boom, done. Anyway, so I'm going to leave you at that. Follow me on Instagram, SmallEngine101. If you like what you see, put a thumbs up. That helps me a lot. If not, I'll catch you on the next video. And don't forget to subscribe. Have a good night.